Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay, and I'm the Director of Programs at AI for Good.
And I'm Elizabeth, EJ, and I'm helping the AI for Good Foundation create a great program for this SDG Catalyst.
So today we're going to be having an info session about SDG Catalyst. For those of you that don't know, the program launched in July with our webpage and our application. So if you haven't looked at it yet, please check out our webpage on SDG Catalyst to see more information as well as the application, which will close on July 31st. But today we're just going to be talking about a brief overview of the program and answering any questions that you guys have. Great. So I'm assuming that everyone can see my screen. This is going to be a really brief presentation just to give you an overview. But again, if you have any questions after the fact, please feel free to email me or EJ. So I'm going to start with just a brief overview of AI for Good as an organization. We are the AI for Good Foundation. We have been a nonprofit since 2016. And since then, we've greatly expanded the kind of work that we do. And this is our newest project, SDG Catalyst, but we have an array that has kind of brought us to the place where we feel really comfortable and confident in creating such a program. Just a little bit of an overview of what we do. We kind of have a policy and education branch as well as a actual AI and ML projects branch. So for example, our Intelligent Cities project is one in which we consult both international cities and whole international governments, ranging from the government of Ethiopia to Kelowna, British Columbia, and Long Beach, California. And we offer them suggestions on how they can make their cities not only smart, but intelligent using AI and broader smart technologies to increase their sustainability and resilience. Another program is SDG Launchpad, and this is an education program geared towards data science students. It is intended to kind of open up access to not only learning about AI and ML for students that may not have had access to it before, but also teaching them how to use those technologies ethically and altruistically in the context of the UN SDGs. Another program that we have is Fragile Earth. It is a research program. We run a yearly workshop in the ACM conference series. So it's coming up in August. If you're interested in that, I'm more than happy to share at a later time. And finally, in our policy education branch is our newest program, which is SDG Catalyst. It is our flagship incubator program. On our AI and ML side, we run the Climate Trend Scanner. This is a huge project that was asked of us by the UNDP to create a basically database for all of the new climate innovations and trends that are happening across the world and connecting them across organizations and people. So basically what we found is that there's a lot of solutions being created across the world in terms of climate solutions, but just not a lot of international collaboration, and we're using AI to fix that. Another program that we have is SDG Data Catalog. And what this is another ML project in which we are trying to make data sets relating to SDGs openly accessible so people can do their own research on the UN SDGs. Basically, we find that a lot of people really want to do work in this space. They just don't have access to the necessary data, especially for ML projects. So we're trying to make that democratized and available to everyone so more people can be working on it. Finally, our newest program in the AI and ML product space is LifeForce and SPDOC. We are extremely involved in the conflict going on in Ukraine, and we're using all of our resources and expertise to do everything we can to help. So LifeForce is a humanitarian aid platform that we're building to connect people in Ukraine with the resources that they need, from basic supplies, shelter, transportation, to medical care, and doing it all in a really secure fashion to ensure that foreign entities will not use this information against them. Finally, we have SPDOC, which is a war journal in which people can put their experiences, whether it be war crimes or just their day-to-day life, documenting, having a diary of everything that's happened for posterity. So we can look back at the situation in the future and see what exactly happened. So that's kind of the whole gamut of the things that we run. Again, we're focusing exclusively today on SDG Catalyst. It's our incubation program, our flagship incubation program. This is the first time that we're running it. We are really excited about it. And so this is kind of a learning process for all of us, but we feel as though across all of our different programs and areas of expertise that we have all the tools necessary to make this a really valuable program for you guys. EJ, do you want to add anything? Awesome. Okay, so EJ, can you talk a little bit about our team, starting with you and George? EJ, you're on mute. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So my background, I've worked with technology companies, think tanks, governments in the areas like data and information infrastructure and sustainability. So I'm very excited to be able to actually, help co-create this wonderful program. Crossing our fingers, that's going to be wonderful. Again, like Lindsay mentioned, we're doing it for our inaugural program, so we're learning as we're going. Jorg is our resident SDG startup expert, and Jorg is a sustainability and regeneration specialist. Some of Jorg's notable accomplishments in his career have been organizing a water conference in the Vatican. He's really worked on the intersection between sustainability, technology with startups, think tanks, and is actually really great at creating programs, executive programs, like he did at Cambridge University. So Jorg will be really giving startups guidance and actually how to build and think and approach the processes involved in founding and growing a startup from an SDG perspective.
Thanks, EJ. And my name is Lindsay. Again, I'm the Director of Programs. Another familiar face that you guys will be seeing throughout the program is James Hodson. He's our CEO of AI for Good, and he is kind of the brain behind creating this program. So I'm just going to talk a little bit of a broad overview. You guys should have seen the website already to get a little bit more detail on what SDG Catalyst is. But essentially, we are incubating purpose-driven startups to launch scalable businesses that accelerate their world's pursuit of the SDGs. So the reason that we're kind of entering this space is because we feel as though we have a lot of the necessary expertise to advise startups on how they can be more mindful of the impact of the SDGs that they're creating throughout every step of the way of their business. We have worked in the AI ethics space, we have worked in the SDG space, and we've worked in the startup space for many years now. And so we feel like we have all the necessary expertise to bring you guys the kind of information that you need to be able to speak more accurately and get more of the metrics necessary to be real change makers in the space of the SDGs. So in the SDG Catalyst program, we have 4 main components. The first of which is our ecosystem, which is what we're going to be talking most about today. It's our resources that we're going to be offering throughout the 6 weeks of the program. So we have lectures, we have discussion groups, we have mentors, and weekly lectures on explicit topics that will give you the guidance that you need throughout the program to be successful. The last thing that we're going to talk a little bit about is the potential opportunities for investment. So that's going to have to go with the things that will occur after the program. And yeah, to kind of go into the meat of it, in terms of our ecosystem, we have a curriculum. It's a 6-week-long program. It's going to start in the beginning of September. The first part of this program is focusing on SDG impact. So the purpose of this is to analyze every step of your business process for its impact on the SDGs, as well as measure that impact. We find this to be really important because in the startup and tech space, a lot of people are paying a lot of lip service to using the SDGs or pursuing the SDGs, but not really having a lot of things past just words. We really want to put action and meaning behind what it means to be working towards the SDGs and have the proof to be able to bring not only to your customers, but to potential investors. So the idea is to prepare you guys to really put your money where your mouth is and let them know how you're tracking across every stage of development to ensure that not only are you working towards the SDGs that you want to work towards, but are not accidentally making, backwards progress towards areas that you might not be thinking of. So these are the main areas that we're going to be looking into. So resourcing, procurement, supply chain development, bringing to market, community impact, and governance and partnerships. So this will encapsulate everything from, your data sources, the people collecting your data, to, your internal structures, your DE&I, stuff like that. Oh, I need to go back one slide. One sec. EJ, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, great. Yes. Cool. So that was a really, again, helpful overview of how we actually want to create these specific touch points throughout the business cycle, that startups that are much more SDG conscious are really trying to involve. Our curriculum basically has a few components. The first being the first pillar is data governance and AI ethics. So our foundation really specializes on educating and actually helping along implementation on questions of ethical data practices. One of them being, Lindsay mentioned earlier, helping the AI strategy for the country of Ethiopia, for example, is one of the things that we've done. In this program, we really want to encourage and provide the resources for startups to actually build with ethical data, with ethical AI. So we'll be touching on number of different topics, things like data standardizations, where to source ethical data sets, actually how to use that in practice, talking about bias monitoring or user transparency, all these kinds of things that we know that are important, but maybe they haven't just been put in a formal curriculum as you build out your startup. So this is just a really great opportunity to actually start building with more conscious technology. Yeah. If you want to go to the next slide. All right, great. Our curriculum also has this SDG component, and how we've decided to organize it is essentially into 4 themes. And we really wanted this to be organized to the UN's SDG goals. In addition to really creating, finding the bucket that your startup or your venture is in. Let me go through them quickly. The 4 themes. The first is adapting a zero footprint future. So if you are a company working in, say, the renewable space or grid technology, this could be your category. Second is putting people first. This is about perhaps creating digital access to healthcare or educational resources. So if you have a company that's really dedicated to this social component, this could be your category. Managing the planet's resources, things about water or climate change mitigation adaptation strategies. This is also very relevant. And our 4th is forging strong, peaceful, and just societies. So if you're working on solutions that are about diversity and inclusion, this is also, it could be your category. In our curriculum, what we really want to do is have particular guest lectures, or we have breakout sessions that will be more specifically focused, maybe on industry trends, case studies that are actually much more specific to the essential challenges or needs that are particular for these specific areas. Yeah.
Thanks.
Is there anything to add, Lindsay?
No, I think that covers it. And I think it segues well into what you can expect from the program. So basically, this is a 6-week program. As we mentioned, it will run from early September into mid-October. And we're looking for a commitment of about 10 hours a week in total. So the first component of that is a weekly lecture on SDG impact, which is that first slide that we showed you with the circle and like the full supply cycle of your business cycle. And those weekly lectures are just going to be kind of breaking down everything that you could need to know about SDG impact. We're going to be using a case study throughout those lectures of a fake startup, so you can see what this startup that's trying to get off the ground will have to think about, and then you will apply it to your own startup. The other lecture that we're going to have is on data and AI ethics. So that was that data governance component. And we'll cover a variety of topics from our experts from our AI Ethics Institute, as well as our larger council, to provide some of that really necessary information of how to altruistically, ethically, and responsibly use any kind of data or AI in your solutions. The next is going to be a weekly discussion with your theme group. So those are the 4 themes that EJ just detailed for us. In each of those, you're going to have an SDG lead that is dedicated to your bucket area, and you're going to have discussions about how the kind of information that you've been learning in the other lectures applies to your specific area of focus. Finally, we'll have some supplemental activities, assignments, and office hours with mentors and peers. The last thing that we're going to talk about today is what you can expect after the program. So first off, you'll be joining our inaugural class of SDG Catalyst. We're really excited to be launching this for the first year and improving in further years as we go. Everyone who participates in this program will be invited into our network and for related events. This is going to be a really awesome opportunity. We already have such a large network that we're happy to introduce you to of startups or young businesses that exist in the space of AI or tech for good. Additionally, select finalists will be kind of invited to our other augmented opportunities. The first of which is to be invited to our AI for Good Summit. This is going to be in November in Berkeley, California. And this is where you will showcase your startup to our network in person. Finally, select finalists will be presented to our network of VCs for investment. We have a pool of venture capital that we will be showing select finalists startups to, depending on how far along they are and how prepared they are to be presented to VCs. We don't have a select number of startups that we will be inviting these to. It will really just be dependent on our number of applicants and the quality of applicants that we get. So this is a recording for people who were not able to make it to our initial info session. So we won't be doing live questions here. However, if you have any questions, please reach out to me or EJ at a later time. If you have any questions about the application specifically, a reminder that it is on the website. The application closes on July 31st. We'll also include a link to the application when we send this out to y'all. But that's it. Thank you so much. EJ, do you have anything else to say? You're on mute again, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. So one final thought is really want to emphasize what we're building and why it's so exciting right now to be part of SDG Catalyst. It's a very exciting space where companies, organizations, the public, startups are understanding that they have responsibilities to their communities, towards the environment, and everybody wants to do some good in this space. So we have already this wonderful community of researchers, investors, experts from AI for Good Foundation that are, sharing their expertise as we're building this out, of course. But it's also a co-creation between the participants and us, because we are learning as we go in building more SDG conscious startups. So this is just kind of it's an exciting place to be at. And our participants, I feel, are very much part of the pioneers of really trying to build technology companies that are very mindful of how they create impact in their communities and in their space. So yeah, it's just we're excited. And I think the participants that will be inviting our program, I think it'll be a really great class of inspiring peers. So yeah, that's my final thought. Yeah.
Thanks so much, EJ. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and please be in touch. Thanks so much.
Cool.